Okay? And then also, did your specialist group come up with any unlikely explanations? Meaning now that you look at everybody else's evidence, you're like, oh, that sounded good when we were just together, but now that I'm working with other scientists, now that we're collaborating, maybe I didn't really think about that particular factor, okay? So make sure everybody has a little bit of time to talk and then start working on that flow chart. So go ahead and reconvene with your home groups. Your whiteboard should already be out. Take your graphs, your data, and let's go from there.
You know, while they were constructing the graph. So I might take it right after constructing.
Now, we're also going to have to get
Okay, so
Okay.
okay, so this you're gonna probably want to look at, right? What you got first, and then look at that, fill in the gaps. And you guys also needed an extra data set, right?
Yeah.
So talk about what you have first, and then you guys can look at that and see if that fills in any gaps.
1982 to 2003. And on our data chart, it showed that percent of precipitation that showed over the years, or the 3 decades. So we did an average in our group. We did an average over each decade of how much it increases by, or if we want to know the data from for the future. So the average number that it increased by over each decade was 6%. Because if you look at the data of 1982, it started out as, on my data, it shows that it was 49% precipitation in 1982. And then if you look at 2002's, it's 82% precipitation of snow. So there's a big change in that from 1982 to 2002, if you look at it by average. So we got a number of about 6% that it increases by. So I don't know
Does that affect any of your guys, like what he just said? Does that impact?
well, you just say there was increased precipitation.
Yeah, so there was an increase of precipitation every decade.
Well, what was their substantial amount, like a giant increase?
It was 6% increase every in average. So like my first average number I got was for the first decade, which was from 1982 to 89, was 69% average. Then the second decade, which was 1990 to 1999, was 75%. And then the from 2000 and 2003, we got 81%. So if you look at it and you average those out, it's about 6% increase in each percent.
Because during those years you can kind of see increased growth in the breeding pairs of the chinchilla penguins, because I feel like with the sign of participation, it's if it's wet and not like snow, then because they best breed when the sea ice melts before late spring. You can see where the average breeding pairs increased over between 1990 and 1999 versus during the 80s.
Right.
So
And it's still increasing, even though, say, like you're a Marine at college, right?
yeah.
So since if your numbers have gone up from 1982 to 1989, then if you do like an average on your numbers, it would probably be a similar number to where they would be increasing, not decreasing, since it's inclining.
It also looks like it increases from the 80s as well, because in 76 and 77, the numbers were exponentially low. And 76 was the first year they provided. There was only 10 breeding pairs, and then the 4 years of 83, 84, 85, and 89, we show an increased growth.
Right.
So
that could be due to the weather. What do your guys' data say?
Well, with my data, we were working on oceanography, so going about with the ocean and all the ice melting.
Right.
So it was So we had a pretty good amount of ice in the ocean in 1980, but it slowly went down to 78 in 1985. But then between the years of 1985 and 87, we had a rise back in our ice. But then we had a humongous drop all the way to 89, where it only got to 44,000. And then it went up and it stayed pretty consistent.
Okay. What about yours? What is your data?
I have like the krill and stuff and how it's affected by loss of ice, and looking at your graph, it seems that like ours are similar with like the drops and rises. And ours, we had 91 krill per meter squared, and then in 84 and to like 87, it took a gigantic drop, and then it got back up to 57 in 89, and then from there it just kind of went down and then spiked back up, and it never, but not since 82 did it ever get back up to 91, and we don't really know why not, but a couple of things that we suggested were that like loss of ice of where the algae grows, or maybe these things, they're called salps, and they're like blobs of jelly that compete with krill for the algae resources. So that we think that maybe the salps got to the algae first before the krill, and the krill.
So if you look at the graph that I have, you have a higher percent of krill, right? In 1982, right?
Yeah.
The weather that was then was 49% of precipitation, so that also might have an effect in yours also, because that's the lowest number that I have, like as a percent of precipitation.
Yes,
And so that might also have an effect. The weather might also have an effect on.
They need dry, snow-free places to lay their eggs. If it snows, it kills penguins.
Where do the chin straps? Oh, these are dailies. Where do the chin straps lay their eggs, Nolan? What surface?
It doesn't say, but it says
They
that
breed on land.
they breed more successfully when the sea ice melts sooner.
Okay, so basically the overall explanation for this I'm seeing is that it's either heating up or something, and like ships are going in, more people, more business happening on the peninsula. Two things actually.
Was in the late 60s, whales
The data was 1960, but I think in 1960 there is a lot of chin strap whale, because the walrus and sealers overhead the sea and whales is the one animal that eat chin straps, and they eat the krill too, and the krill is what the chin strap is. But I don't have data about it, but I'm sure the numbers of them is bigger than 1976. And then this. So I think it's always because the food chains, when there is a consumer and a producer, they each other, blah blah blah.
Blah blah blah.
Too much English. And this is one. So chin straps aggressively take the elderly penguin's place too. So yeah, this stuff. I think that's all.
Another theory that I had was
So what is
There's a lot of chin straps.
Is this like the population
Yeah.
or?
These are the big. Yes, like breeding pairs of chin strap penguins.
Okay, well it's increasing here,
Here.
even though it's super
It
low.
was a steady increase, and then it was
Yeah.
Where's pretty cool. It's increased here. I mean, yeah, this is decreased, but only.
And it increases and decreases because of like their food, the food chain.
Yeah,
So if there's less food, then it's gonna be lower.
and less
chance?
predators too.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Okay, so how are we gonna hook this all together, guys?
What about here?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Birdies.
So, the other type of penguins that I don't know how to pronounce spend their summers on land where they breed. They spend the winters on the outer extent of the sea ice surrounding Antarctica where they molt their feathers and fatten up. They are visual predators, meaning they need enough light to see their prey. Near the outer part of the pack ice, they are only a few hours of daylight in the middle of the winter. There is less sunlight as you go further south or closer to land. On the western Antarctic Peninsula, they mostly eat krill. Several countries have been harvesting krill since the 1960s. They need snow-free places to lay their eggs, and they use the same nest sites each year. And at about the same time every year, heavy snowfalls during the nesting season can bury adult penguins and kill their eggs. The females lay 2 eggs, but usually only one of those eggs results in a fledged chick. The 2 most common causes of death of eggs and chicks are abandonment by the parents if they cannot find enough food, and predation by hawk-like birds. In the water, they are mostly eaten by leopard seals and killer whales. They can look for food under sea ice because they can hold their breath for a long time. They are not as good at foraging in the open ocean because they cannot swim very fast, and they have lived in the western Antarctic Peninsula for at least 644 years.
So do you think the differences between this group and that group are important? Because she would know.
I think yeah, because the chinstrap, he like open water, so he can live in open water. He cannot hold the breath for a long so that's why. And what this decrease, right?
This one's decreasing.
And this is increased. I got it. I think it's because
This one looks
the
more steady.
global warming.
That one.
You know when the global warming and melting ice and he can hold it and because it's getting very hot.
And that this one is needing to be out on further ice.
Yeah.
And if there's no ice for it to be on, then it kind of goes downhill.
So who is measuring ice? Who has the ice? So what is happening to the ice?
The icebreakers, they're ships, and wind can break the ice, and then the ice can also melt because solar radiation can be absorbed through the water, and it makes more humidity, which melts the ice. And so basically, unless there's like a lot of rain that year, then a lot of the ice area will decrease because if there's not as much rain, the rain supports the ice and makes more ice.
Do we know anything about rain?
Yeah. So basically, one of the main factors that like controls the weather, the snow and rain, is the ice actually. And what we were seeing is
So with the snow
that
and the rain,
sorry, I can't talk today. That right down here in the 1980s, that the precipitation of the snow was lower, and then now in the 2000s it's higher. So basically, we're thinking that the ice is breaking, and that's what's causing the.
But you're getting more snow, and you're getting less ice.
Yeah, because there's icebreakers and wind that you also have to deal with. Like,
Do you think the icebreakers are like, so we're saying that like the icebreakers, the ships, are responsible for a lack of ice, or do you think that can those icebreakers get through if the ice is thinner, or I mean?
I would think that a decent part of that would be that if the ice was thinner because of temperature changes, that could help for when they come through for destroying more ice, and then having less ice would put that back up into the atmosphere as well as into the ocean, and so that could help with causing the increase in precipitation for the area.
Okay. All right. Better let you guys finish.
yeah. Okay, so we gotta connect all of this now, guys. Okay.
These ones need the ice that isn't there anymore, and that these ones have a greater issue with the precipitation.
icebreaker ships are breaking the ice apart together, which is causing a
a less feeding ground for the krill, and as a result, the krill are the krill populations. That's why they're dying off, and that's why the deli penguins. You got the deli penguins, right, Tyler? Yeah. The deli penguins, they eat the krill under the ice, but since the krill are depleting under the ice, their population is depleting. And his penguins, the chinstrap penguins, hunt in open water, so his are increasing because they there's more prey there's more prey out in the open ocean.
And not to mention that my penguins, they invade his penguins' nesting sites and just kind of kick them out and take it for their own.
Yeah.
So it can help to decrease in their population while mine goes up.
Like you said, it all fits together like a puzzle, kind of.
So they mentioned it too. Everybody's talking about these icebreaker ships. How many icebreakers and is that the sole cause?
I'm not sure.
Like, is there like a fleet of like thousands of icebreakers down there just ripping up the ice, and that's what's causing this whole problem, or is that just like maybe compounding the problem? I mean, what?
Well, that's something that we don't know because we don't have data to tell us, but it could.
Do you have data on how many icebreaker ships there are?
No.
Okay.
We don't. But
So we're saying the sea ice is going down because of icebreaker ships, but we have no idea how many ships.
it could also be icebreaker
Because
ships
of-
along with a lack of rain.
Okay.
And ultraviolet light also can be destroying the sea ice area, or not destroying, melting and decreasing it. That's something I read in my.
Just want to make sure that you're not attributing it to like just this one thing that we don't have, enough data on. Remember, it's the weight of everything. So that might be a piece. That might be a piece of it. But if there's not enough data there to say that's the sole cause, then there's got to be something else in the data that you can put with that, right?
All right.
Oops, sorry.
So sea ice is going down because of icebreaker ships and lack of rain. Broken ice causes rain.
We organize the air temperature.
So where you guys at? Trying to figure out the order now?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out the order of it. So,
Generally speaking, give me your idea of like this chain of events that's causing this population shift.
So, Sam was saying that since there's a lot of, was it fishers?
There was either a lot of fishing or shipping happening during the year of 86 to 89.
How do you know that?
Well, we think there may be a lot of shipping there or a lot of hot winds coming through, melting down the ice.
Okay.
Because they have to have shipbreakers come through to help them.
Let me ask you a question though, because if we're gonna say that this is causing this, then we can't just say I think. You think based on, do you have one of these data sheets give you information on how much fishing was being done, icebreakers, or to just like mention it? So I guess that's my question is, that could be part of it, but were there other, like, remember it's the weight of the evidence, so what evidence is carrying the most weight? What else? Because it sounds like you're hypothesizing that in '89 there was lots of fishing, but do you have data on how much fishing was going on? Okay, so is that what's going to drive this whole conclusion? Is what we don't know happened in '89? Okay, so what else could we look at, I guess? And I'm not saying that can't be part of it, Sam. That's not what I'm saying. So just
so we noticed throughout the years the decrease in the delay penguins and the increase in chin strap penguins.
okay.
Chin straps are aggressive for the delay penguins and actually will often take their nests and not resource them. So that's why we notice an increase and then a decrease for there. And then there's increase of precipitation and melted ice. And Adelie penguins reproduce in the spring and summer. And that's where Wait,
Well,
hold up.
they
Whoa.
hunt during the they hunt during the daylight, and so since winters have shorter days that have light, they can't hunt during the winter.
But that's the Adelie penguin.
And then that's what I was talking about.
Well, I was talking about the chinstrap penguins and how.
I was talking about the Adelie penguins, but the Adelie penguins is that they breed, I think, during the winter, from what we read, and so the females hatch 2 eggs, and then one of them ends up surviving because they're either abandoned or they're not fed after they're hatched. And so Matt was saying that his whatever you were doing.
Is precipitation good or bad for the hatching of those eggs? Do you know?
It doesn't.
They need dry, snow-free places to lay their eggs.
Dry snow-free to live, so precipitation might have also an effect on that. If the years, so the major decrease was in 2002. Yeah, so major decrease that they had from 1975 to 2002, it went from 15,000 to 4,000.
Okay.
And that's a major decrease from.
So you said precipitation, snowy, rainy weather, whatever, could impact the successful hatching of those eggs. So who has the precipitation?
I have the precipitation. So if I look at the data from the years, the data that the ornithologist has is mine doesn't extend to his years, but if I do it from the years that I have 1982, or 1983, which he has, which the numbers were 13,515 and in 83 it was 67% precipitation, and then in 2000, where the numbers still decrease, in 2002 it's 82% of precipitation. So,
it drops exponentially.
But it still drops, even though it shows that there's 20% more precipitation in 2002 than 1983, but there's still a huge number drop for
the decade.
Yeah, but I don't think weather would have an impact on the Adelie penguins. So if they need a dry area.
So if they need a dry area, weather doesn't impact it? That's what you just said.
But, I meant no, I meant if they have if they breed in a drier area, then precipitation wouldn't be the same number from where they breed at.
Precipitation make it wet?
Like snow precipitation. It says the precipitation events that are snow.
Okay. So snow isn't wet.
Well, it is wet.
So if you're a penguin, you got your egg, you're holding it between your little feet, you're getting ready to hatch it, whatever, and it needs to stay dry and it starts snowing. Is that a problem?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the numbers are higher in precipitation in 2002. So, and the number of penguins are low in 2002 also. So I don't know if Matt's numbers are the same from what Cody's numbers were supposed to be.
Okay. Alright, I'll let you guys keep talking about it. I'm going to come over to this group, so go on with it. You guys got some
no, but what I was saying was
stuff together. Explain to me. Okay, and we know air temperature has
Okay. And so the air temperature affects the sea ice extent and also affects the winter snow.
How?
The winter snow for precipitation. So if it's too cold, it doesn't snow, and if it's too hot, it doesn't snow. And so that affects the winter snow. Sea ice extent, when it melts down, it lets more water out for winter snow. And who had krill? You had krill. Said something about krill living underneath the ice, and so when that's gone, there's no ice for it the krill to live under. Oh, for the krill to eat? Okay, that. And then so krill densities are going lower, so that's less food for the Adelie penguins. And the chinstrap penguins, they don't really need to have the krill right there.
They don't need the sea ice. They are able to live in open water during the winter, and so they're stronger and better able to compete the Adelie penguins for nesting sites, and so they will bully the Adelies off of their nesting sites so that they have the prime spots.
And so they have a bigger area of food to go get because they can probably swim, I don't know for how far, but in comparison, they could probably swim 5 miles, and the Adelie penguins could probably swim like 500 feet. So they have a wider area to get food while they don't. So the lower the krill densities, the less Adelie penguins there will be. It lowers their population, but doesn't really affect them too much because it's over the whole landscape. And they bully them. And then this winter snow, you said you had something about that.
It can kill the Adelie penguins. It can bury them over the winter and in nesting grounds.
So they don't.
So
they're not able to successfully breed. When it's wet and snowy. So you're saying this right here, an increase in this, can have all this cascading effect over here, and you can bear it out in the data that you have? Yes. Like you could prove it with numbers. Okay. So, what is this? I mean, you guys pretty confident in your answer? It looks pretty good to me.
Because this is basically the precipitation, so in a sense, close to the air temperature, and so when the precipitation starts to go up, the krill goes down, and so does the sea ice extent.
Okay.
So that means all that water that was falling from the sky, or ice, means that there's less of this, which that affects the amount of krill because there's no more food. And due to these decreasing, it affects the Adelie penguins decreasing, and they're able to withstand some of these changes. They're more adaptable, and so these guys increase and bully them, make them to decrease, and so they become kind of a top prey in that area.
It's kind of survival of the fittest, is what you're saying. They're more fit for an environment.
For this environment.
For this environment than these guys are.
Yep.
Which tells you, this all over here can tell you that this is changing, right? Even, let's say, what if I didn't even have measurements? What if I didn't even say, I said, well, I don't know what the air temperature is.
We don't know what the air temperature is. We don't have the information.
We don't have all.
We don't
have it up there.
Yeah. Oh, well, we didn't even look at that.
Well, that's good though. But so let's say you didn't have this data. From this, could you still tell me probably what's happening over here?
Well, if
indirectly.
If we didn't have this data, probably not.
Well, that data you have. You just didn't know. You didn't know air temperatures were increasing. Could you predict what was happening to them from that?
Probably, because these are all dependent on the sea ice extent, and so you can find out or make.
What affects sea ice extent? Temperature and like commotion going on the land.
Good.
And then test it with an experiment.
I like how Zach just said the hypothesis instead of prove it. So I guess my last question is, does this all fit with what scientists are currently saying? I mean, does this disagree at all with
what are they
current research?
I have no idea what they're saying.
They're saying
greenhouse gases.
Well, I don't know. Like,
are we talking about? So we're talking about global warming, climate change, right?
Which in the Arctic is warming.
So does this data, okay, not what we think, not what we feel, say that temperatures are that we're getting a temperature change right now? Now we're not talking about cause, so we're not talking about cause, but right? Yeah. All right. So what I want you guys to do, since you're ahead of the curve, you guys got your questions done?
We're working on the last one.
Okay, so when you're done with those, fill out your rubrics, and then you'll attach, leave your graph for now, you got it taped to the board anyway?
A little bit, so
Yeah, because I want to, I don't have time to do it today, but maybe on Friday, I'll have each group present Okay. So hang tight for just a sec. Get that filled out. Okay. Hey, I'm gonna press the pause button real quick here because I know you're like working like crazy to get these done. You still have a few minutes, but just so you know, we will wrap this up Friday. There's no way we're gonna have time to present these today, but you guys will come up with your board. So you want to put your board in a safe place. Whatever you have taped, make sure it's taped down good. Keep all your data, your questions, your rubrics, and then we can finish them on Friday and present them. I do have a question for you though. This is important. You were meeting as individual specialist groups, right?
Yeah.
And you had some theories, some ideas about what was happening. But did those ideas become clearer as you met with other specialists? Do you think collaboration amongst scientists is important?
Yes.
Because science does not happen in a box. It can't happen in a box because you're just not seeing the whole picture, right?
Yeah.
So it's helpful to have data and cross collaboration and share that information, right? And that was one of the big ideas of this lesson, is that you see how important it is for specialists to get together and talk about what they're seeing, because a data set by itself does not make any sense, but taken with other data, it starts to piece together the puzzle, and I hope that's what you guys are seeing, okay? So, go ahead and get your stuff stored away, get it in a safe spot. We'll just finish this Friday. We don't have time to finish it today, but good job. I like what I'm seeing, so.